You know, I usually try, my goal for this podcast every year with the Yankees and the Knicks has become to try covering at the very, very least, 80% of the games. This could have been one of those games where I decided to put in the 20% category and just take off. And not to nitpick, because the Knicks probably won't get too many wins this year. They'll be around 500, give or take. So not to nitpick the games that they do win, and I'll give them credit for the win tonight, but playing the Detroit Pistons has become a tradition for the Knicks to win. Like, they're a terrible team to begin with. They're tanking. They're very short-handed. You can always count on the old Pistons. They absolutely suck, and tonight they were without a whole lot of guys. Still no Cade Cunningham, who might need surgery. This was a preseason game, and I took really nothing from it. So yes, it was a good, nice rebound of a win after two tough losses. The Knicks go out there and they pulverize the Pistons 140-110. And we'll talk for a few minutes, but I can promise you this, it won't be too long. We're going to try to keep this one under the usual 30-minute mark. All right? So with that said, let's get into it. Episode 443 of the podcast. Let's talk. Welcome to BD4, an RJ Carbone podcast. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. BD4 is a 5-star show on Apple Podcasts, also available in video format on YouTube and Spotify. So thanks for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Champion of the world, turning, looking, see ya! Anthony for three, bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied! Time!
Penetrates, creates, and showing some dexterity as well with the left hand.
Yankees win!
What's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Episode 443. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Welcome to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's talk Knicks. Yeah, as I said, we're going to try to keep this, under the usual 30, 40-minute mark, and hopefully it's more towards 20-something minutes tops. That'd be beautiful. But, yeah, the Knicks picked up a win. They played the Pistons, who are, again, terrible. And the Knicks were able to pick up a 140-110 win. And they got their 10th win of the year. They are now 10-11 on the season. And they were led by Julius Randle in this game. Big credit to Julius for leading the way and getting them off to a hot start. Big time first quarter for Julius. He was on fire from three. Heat checking 3-point shots, and it was working. I want to say he was he knocked down at least 4 threes in the first quarter. Might have been 5, but I know he had at least 4. He finished with 6. But other guys eventually started chiming in. Again, the Knicks reached 140 points. 5 guys had at least 16 points. So the offense was very good tonight. It looked very creative. Really creative, actually. There were some nice... We actually ran offense. We had a little give and go. It looked like a give and go between iHeart and D Rose. We had that little hesitation misdirection move by Quickley. Guys were doing, they were digging in their bag. Guys were moving off the ball. I just had a voice crack. Guys were coming around screens, and, we were spacing the floor very well off the ball. That isn't alcohol, that's iced tea. The entire damn arena, this was in Detroit, was empty. I mean, it reminded me of 2020 all over again. And maybe that's why Julius Randle played so well. Because he was practically in an open gym. But yeah, he gets a Bing Bong award, gets a Bing Bong ball tonight.
Bing Bong.
Julius finished with 36 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Shot the ball 58%, 46% from 3 as he went 6 for 13. He was a plus 36 in the box score. And he earns his 6th Bing Bong ball of the year. Yeah, he was on fire with the jumper. He had some really strong, really impressive takes inside through traffic. So he was good, and we're going to run through it, man. Quickley was also good off the bench. He's going to get a Bing Bong ball. 15 points, 4 assists. He shot 58%. Yeah, he was good. I don't know what else to say, man. Quickley was good. He seems like he's starting to find a rhythm. His numbers on the year are very similar now to Quickley seasons of the past. The three-pointer's starting to come around a little bit. He looks good. And, my thoughts on Quickley as a player, it's really similar to my thoughts on a lot of these other guys. Where I think they're good, but I don't think they're anything better. Like, a lot of Knicks fans think there are so many guys with such high ceilings and all this upside. Calling Obi the next Amari, calling, Cam the next Paul George. And I've been a victim of that too. But this year I've been pretty consistent in what I think. And I just think a lot of these guys are role players. So they're going to have highs. They're going to have lows. And at the end of the day, they're just going to be decent, no more or less. But credit to Quickley. He had a great game, and he's starting to come around and look good. That was his 8th Bing Bong award of the year. He's got 8 Bing Bong balls to lead the bench. So, yeah, I mean, we can go around. RJ was solid. 16 points tonight from him, 4 of 11. He got to the line, knocked down most of his free throws, 6 of 8. He knocked down his 3-point shot, 2 of 5. That was nice to see. The jumper look good. Still so-so around the rim. The defense wasn't great. You had Kevin Knox blowing by his ass a few times, so that's always interesting. we had a Cam versus Knox matchup a few times. They went at each other. I found that cool. Grimes looked pretty good tonight, and that's really the one thing you can take from this is that Quentin Grimes looks good. Tonight it was magnified because you saw the shot falling. He was 6 for 7 from the field and 3 for 4 from three-point land, scoring 16 points. So when he hits his shots, it really magnifies how good the rest of his game is because he's been doing everything else since he's came back into the starting rotation. The playmaking was solid again tonight. He showed some great court vision on the attack. He found Mitch in the dunker spot off a drive. He hit up Quickley on the break. And we talked about the other night how this is a career point guard in Quentin Grimes. He's been a point guard his entire career up until he went to Houston. He's a very good finisher too, by the way. I've been noticing that Quentin Grimes pretty good around the rim. He seems like he's usually efficient there. And tonight you saw some really smooth finishes with his right hand on the left side of the floor. He looked really good. And he played defense. He's always going to play defense. He rebounded 6. That was nice to see. You can just see from Quentin Grimes right now that he's just got that bounce in his step. He looks a lot better than when he was playing earlier in the year and trying to come back from that injury, which, plantar fasciitis is not an easy injury to come back from. Now, I'm still curious to see how this guard rotation is going to shape up, because, tonight's not really a great indicator for what's to come. You can't take anything from a Pistons game, but just for shits and giggles, Grimes, 28 minutes, Quickley, 22 minutes. D. Rose led the bench with 24 minutes, and this was in a back-to-back versus a shorthanded Pistons team. So that was very interesting. I don't know what Tibbs was thinking there, but Cam, 17 minutes tonight. So I do think it's going to be similar to this layout every night. Probably less Rose, and more of those minutes are going to go to Quickley and Cam. Grimes will probably start. I would say because if he starts knocking down his three-pointer, they're going to go with him because he's the best shooter on the team, and you can make a case he's also their best defensive player. He's definitely their best point of attack defender, on those pick and roll guards. Quickley will probably get his 20, 25 minutes. Cam, I think, will get his 20. I think it'll work. I think they'll make it work. I just think we need to play Cam and Grimes on the floor a little more and not really make it a head-to-head thing. They could still play with each other. You don't have to stagger their minutes. And tomorrow, I think that'll help a lot. You're playing the Bucks. They run fast. They play in the lanes. Obviously, you're going to have to build a wall around Giannis. But, the rotation, the guard wing rotation is going to be interesting. Now, when it comes to Obi, obviously, we've killed this topic enough with his playing time. I'm not going to jump into it, but he's not moving anywhere. He's going to get his 18 minutes, whether he's on or off. Tonight, it was the same thing. He looked good, but it didn't matter, especially because Julius was on. But that's it, man. I'm not going to go much longer. I think I'll cut it off here. The Bucks are next. I don't know who's going to be on. I mean, it's probably going to be Randle and Mitch on Giannis. That's what they usually do. It's not going to be Grimes. He's obviously too small. It's probably not even going to be Cam. They're going to need size, like mass, and it's going to have to be Mitch and Randle. A lot of help defense. The help defense is going to have to be on point. But yeah, I don't take anything from this one, so we're going to wrap it up. It's not even going to be 20 minutes. We'll get to break, come back, talk about our parlay, which we botched again tonight, and then we'll wrap it up with the trivia. Stay with us. We'll be right there. Hey guys, so if you are a listener of the podcast often and you want to know where to find me on social media, you can find me on Facebook at BD4. You can find me on Twitter at BD4Pod, and you can also find me on Instagram at Rob J. Carbone. BD4 is located on many different platforms. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and if you do there, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. You can listen to it on Spotify, but you can also watch the podcast on both Spotify and YouTube. BD4 is available on many other platforms as well. All you got to do is search it up. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and much more. All right, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You're listening to episode 443 of the podcast. Let's get to our parlay and talk about that because we lost again. Anybody else like to chew ice? Said it's supposed to be a vitamin deficiency. Welcome to RJ's Parlay, where my degenerate self breaks down tonight's big parlay. If I miss, it's not surprising. If I hit, I'll probably lose it all the next night, because that's how this works. Tonight's big parlay, we actually had two. We had one in the Warriors game, and then we had one in the Knicks game. We lost both. But plus 5.5 on the alternate spread for the Knicks. That hit. Randle, 30 plus points, rebounds, and assists. That hit. I like the stat combos. Brunson, 25 plus everything. Did not hit. And then Barrett, 20 plus everything, which did hit. So Brunson was the only one I didn't hit. And it was only because of, the Knicks were blowing them out. So he sat the entire fourth quarter. And I hate that. If it wasn't for garbage time, the NBA would far and away be the easiest sport to bet, and I'd be a millionaire. But it always screws me. Garbage time always screws me. Because we just never end up getting that final leg because the guy's going to sit. Because there's no need to play Brunson, who's, nursing an injury in the first night of a tough back-to-back coming up. It was plus 115. Would have been nice, but no. Brunson sits the fourth. Let's wrap it up. All right. As I stutter my way through this episode, let's head to break real quick. Finish it off with a trivia, and that'll be that. Be right back. We also have a website now for BD4. If you go to BD4blog.com, you can find the blog, the podcast links, and also where to find me on social media. Just go to BD4blog.com. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. All right, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone, episode 443. Let's wrap it up with our trivia. All right, so for this episode, our NYY-NYK-MMA question of the day is: former Knicks guard Jeremy Lin was the first American-born player of what descent to play in the NBA? Former Knicks guard Jeremy Lin was the first American-born player of what descent to play in the NBA? Let me know the answer wherever you can find me. One last time. Former Knicks guard Jeremy Lin was the first American-born player of what descent to play in the NBA? Guys, that's it. The Knicks win 140-110. Blow the shit out of the Pistons. It's always nice to run into them to get back on track. But again, doesn't change anything. This team is just middle of the pack. They're going to be middle of the pack all year. My hope is that they're enough. There's no direction. After passing on Mitchell, there was no direction. It's either tank for a good draft pick or win, just to keep kind of developing a culture here and hope that you attract some stars at some point. It's pick your side, pick your underwhelming choice, and my choice is to at least win. The draft is a coin flip. That's a gamble. I think winning eventually works its way. I think you figure things out. Will they? I don't know. They could very well miss the play-in. They could very well make the play-in. But at the end of the day, they'll probably lose in the play-in. And then what will happen? Then we'll have to make some decisions in the offseason. We got players on expiring deals. We've got to free up some cap. I don't know. Directionless team. Middle. The definition of purgatory in the NBA. We are just waiting to see what's next. So, good win, though. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.